Hi, I'm Stuart, and welcome to SIRENNET Television. This is a somewhat auspicious day here at SIRENNET because we have a brand new Lightbar in the studio alongside a very interesting young gentleman by the name of Chris. Yes, that's Chris there, gives a little wave. And on the gurney, do you like the gurney? It's kind of a neat way of explaining what's going on here. We actually have two particular light bars. We have a Liberty light bar on the gurney, and up in the air here, we have the brand new Liberty 2 light bar from Whelen, which the guys and gals have just sent us over from Chester, Connecticut. Now, a couple of quick things about the bar. They are totally different. So they may have a similar name, but they're in no way the same light bar. And this light bar is 2 1/4.
2 1/4, and with that, we're referencing the profile height that you see here. So bottom of the bar to the top of the bar.
And this bar is 2 1/2. So it's slightly larger, not exactly huge, but it's slightly larger. Profile-wise, it looks pretty similar. There is going to be, and we'll get the cameras coming in closer in a minute, but there is some very distinct differences, as I mentioned, between these two bars. But first of all, we're going to have a close look at the Liberty bar, just to kind of refresh our memories with the bar that is currently available, but as it moves into the next generation. So what you have here are the linear modules mounted across here. This particular bar has high intensity takedowns mounted in the front. Then of course we turn the bar off the gurney here. We've got the corner modules, as you can see there, and I swing it towards camera number 2, you can actually see the alley light configuration that is available with the standard Liberty bar. Swing it back around again. Now again, the high intensity takedowns can be modified with respect to the Liberty bar, but what you have here is a very traditional Whelen designed light bar. You have the lenses, which are mounted in such a way that they slide down on an extrusion. Now if I turn it sideways, so let's do it this way, Chris, real quick. Get a good workout with this. As we turn it sideways, you see there's 4 screws. Take off the 4 screws, remove the end cap, and slide out the respective lenses left and right as you need to do so. So that's the Liberty light bar, and the Liberty 2 bar is completely different. So let's spin it around real quick. Go this way. And Chris, tell us a little bit about it.
Get us started, you can see we have a tighter weaved LED alley. In this case, it's now a vertical 3-diode fixture as opposed to the LR11 style that we have here. You can also see that from the side standpoint, you have extended corner modules. So with the tighter alley here, you have a more intense lighting configuration in the corners. So not as much of a blank spot with the alley here. You also can see that the end cap has become fused into the lensing here, both on the front and on the back. And this is, you said it's so good. Remind me what you were referring to this as earlier.
Well, Whelen actually has a special way of sonic welding the lenses together. And this is a product concept that Whelen has put together, which I believe is somewhat unique in the lighting industry here in the US. Now, the bar, of course, is again different, as Chris has been pointing out, and one of the other features is at the top of the bar, and we'll bring a camera in now in a second, you can take a look at this, and at the top of the light bar, there's a total of 4 screws. You take out the 4 screws, this aluminum section, which I'm tapping right now, is in fact cosmetic. And what that means is that this is one complete dome. So it is a dome that is being sandwiched between 2 aluminum wafers. We have an aluminum base and an aluminum top, but the dome itself is what's actually creating the solidness of this particular situation. So in other words, basically the dome is sandwiched between these 2 pieces of aluminum, as you can see here. Now there are some other interesting features about the bar. And we're keeping this pretty simple. So for all you techies out there, I may not be going into total tech land, but let me explain a little bit about this. Is if we take a look at the reflector that is on the Liberty 2 bar, and we then move down to take a look at the reflector that is on the Liberty light bar, we can see that they're actually smaller on the Liberty bar, and they are larger up here on the Liberty 2. So it is a much wider area of reflector and diode capabilities with respect to the Liberty 2 bar. So Again, they look similar, but man, are they different. That's for sure.
So with the bigger reflector here, more dispersion for the diodes inside. So with that, you're going to get a more intense punch from the individual light heads inside the Liberty 2 light bar.
Now also, and I've got my cheat sheets here, but I'm going to let you in on the cheat sheet so you can get a chance to see it. Let me move forward so the cameras can pick this up. So again, there's going to be different options with respect to the takedowns. Now right now this bar has a total of 12 diodes, what we call the high intensity takedown, and that's what's featured at the top of this piece of paper. And as we move down, you can see you can have a lesser populated option as well with respect to that. And the same also applies to the alley lights. There are different variations. You can see that there. Can we see that? We're getting a nod from the crew. One of the nice feature about the alley lights is you have the ability to make some adjusting should you want to do so with respect to a 15-degree angle. So you can actually angle it should the need arise. Some people may want to do that, some don't, depending on how you want to do it. So if we spin this around, you have the ability to adjust the diode bracketry, whether you want it to be 15 degrees forward, 15 degrees backwards, depending how you want to do that. So that is definitely an option worth taking a look at. And on the takedowns, because I was actually showing you a variety of cheat sheets here, here's the next cheat sheet, and you can see, again, more information available on the takedowns. It really is brand new. We just got it in this morning, and we've been playing around with it. We're also going to be taking it apart, too, because that's what Chris likes to do. Right, Chris?
Most definitely.
So, can we turn it on?
Of course. What would you like to see first?
You be the chef.
Let me be the chef, all right.
Warning cameras, it's going to be bright.
So let's see, to go ahead, get us started, might as well go ahead, take the Syncom control head here, and this is the WeCan version. So with that, the bar itself is being run off of the Whelen Syncom Sapphire, and it is running to that through the WeCan communications wire. So as you can see, 2 harness, lead and ground, and then your communications point. To get us started, I'm going to go ahead, get the corners turned on here, blind out the camera crew and yourself as well, I'm sorry. So, and also to help us in the studio here and for you at home to get a better idea, I'm going to activate the high-low function for the light bar itself. Now actually what's neat with the Liberty 2 and its programming ability is you can adjust the corner modules in their intensity as well as the inboards. Previously, in the Liberty series, the high-low adjusts the inboard section. The corners stay high intensity. Through the Liberty 2, you can program the intensity for the whole bar. So for folks in nighttime operations, it makes it a lot easier on you, as you can see.
Now, the inboards right now, you've got ambers on, and there's going to be a variety of color options available with the bar. So let me spin it around to the front here for a second, and let me explain a little bit about it. Can we just turn it off for a second?
Of course.
So I can see. So, as you can see, this bar is clear. Now, in the previous generation of Liberty family of light bars, the lens, which is this here, would be clear, or you could get it in different color options. Now again, with a diode, the diode is preset in relation to its color. So if you have an amber array, you need to have an amber lens or a clear lens in front of it. You can't put a red or a blue lens in front of it because it'll become discolored, to say the least. With the Liberty 2, the concept is a little different in that, and I'll reach down here again to the sheet, and I'll be able to show you here because we don't have one in the studio, but we can quickly come in. If we can go down to the lower section there, you can see now what Whelen is offering with respect to is the outer dome will stay clear, so that won't change color as it would in the previous generation, and you get a colored insert or a colored filter, which will then go over the respective area that you wish to color, including, by the way, the ends. So you get a filter which would go over the ends, if that's what you want, or a filter that would go over the inboards. He's dropping his Fs. The filter which would go over the inboards. And you might go, well, why would you want that? Well, there are certain customers, both in the United States and around the world, that don't want to have light bars that look clear. They want to have a light bar specifically designating it's a law enforcement vehicle, it's a fire department vehicle, it's an ambulance. They want to clearly identify the vehicle. One particular place that comes to mind is, for example, the wonderful and fantastic state of Hawaii. And in Hawaii, what goes on there is that they like to have their light bars blue, and they can do that with this configuration, except there would be a filter, as opposed to in the past, you would have actually had the lens do that job. So that's something unique to the Liberty 2 bar with respect to this program. On the rear of the bar, let's spin it around. You can have this bar as a solo, meaning obviously one color, and you can have this bar as a duo. Now the front of the bar, we'll be turning that on completely in a minute, is set up as a solo. The rear of the bar is actually set up as a duo, and what that means is that the number of diodes inside here have been configured in such a way that you have red, and you have amber, and you have blue, and you have amber. And I probably mixed that up. Have I? No?
I think you got it right.
You got it right? This is the blue side.
Otherwise, we'll flip-flop the bar, and it's right if it's the back, and it's
because it's off.
facing.
I can't tell which it is. So, and that's the nice thing when it's all clear. So, well, let's turn on the center area to the rear, and right now we have amber firing away, so it's pretty straightforward. You can clearly see what that is, and we can flip that over. And did he get it right? Oh, kind of. This side is blue.
It's just in the programming.
And
of the
this side here
control
is red.
so.
But the diodes are preset. So as Chris said earlier, you can program the bar if you want to have it intermixed. In other words, if you want to have red and amber, or amber and blue, or you can program it if you want to have a solid red and a solid blue. Let me do that real quick. There we go. So this is a solid red and a solid blue, as you can clearly see here. Or we can turn that off and make it go amber only. So again, you have the functionality to direct traffic, or you have the functionality to have a color mix in there, should you see fit to do so.
And as Stuart mentioned, with the bar being software programmable through it being the WeCan series of the Liberty 2, when you're using Whelen's software compatible controller, you can go in and do a wide array of programming for the lighting. So you can isolate corners, you can isolate inboards, as Stuart mentioned with this bar having dual modules in the rear, so 2 colors, you can go through and program and lock the colors in independently, should you choose to do so. So as you mentioned in this case here, when the vehicle's coated up and warning, reds and blues is appropriately. When the vehicle's on the side of the roadway, you can go ahead, activate it into amber.
Now there is another feature which is quite interesting, and that's the pulsating. Can we get that?
It is. Let me go ahead and activate this. And we have the amber modules here programmed to activate with the corners. Again, you can program these to be on without any other functions. And what I've done is set these to a new pattern that Whelen is offering, and it's called Steady Flash. What this does is it takes the specific programmed modules and puts them into the mode that you're seeing displayed here. So nice and bright, full intensity on steady, and then they do a quick flicker effect. So what that does is it allows a vehicle to be better ID'd when it's in motion, and when it's parked, you can also then ID the front, ID the rear, and also what it does is for approaching traffic, it breaks up the footprint that the light bar is displaying. So a nice option, and one of the functions that you can program the bar to, should you choose to do so.
Now, as you can see here, we're going to pick up the sheet for a second. As you can see here right now, we just turn this off for a split second, Chris, so we can let the camera crew settle in there. As you can see here right now, the modules are of one particular size. Now, the light bar is going to be available in 3 sizes. You can get it as a 44-inch, you can get it as a 49.x inch, because I can't remember the number right now, but you get it as a 49-inch, or you can get it as a 54-inch. And when you go to a 54-inch, if we spin it around here real quick, the center area becomes longer. So the bar has been lengthened, and to allow them to do that and to give you an additional option, an additional pair of modules can be put in, and they're the short version of the current reflector module that's inside the bar. Now on the website we will have some images of these, and we will have some technical specifications that are available to us, i.e. with part numbers for this as well. So bear with me on that, and hopefully you'll enjoy taking a look at that as well.
And that's another new feature that the Liberty 2 offers, in that you can have the extended length chassis and have it fully populated. Standard Liberty series had spacing between the modules here and the corner, and with that it was a standard aluminum spacer. It didn't allow for an additional module to be populated into the bar. So again, with the Liberty 2, you can put more warning components in, so brighter output.
There you go. So it's a pretty quick look, and we will be putting this on a car, so that'll be coming up very soon, but we wanted to get you a chance to see it. It came into us this morning. It's got it down to the lower level studio here, and a chance for it to be turned on. So I'm going to have Chris turn on the light bar and light it up. Let's go ahead, Chris, and do that right now. So this is the Liberty 2 light bar from Whelen.
Steady burn and flashing function. So as you can see, the bar fully coated up, flashing takedowns, flashing alleys, modules flashing away, and kick it into low intensity mode as well. As you can see on the back of the bar here, duo modules have been activated, so color changing, the red and amber, blue and amber as well. We've gone ahead and programmed the inboard set here so that they just stay on a standard red and blue flash. But again, if you wanted those to duo change, it's just in the programming. That will be done in the light bar when you set it up.
Let's kick it up to high intensity again.
Oh, even standing over here in off axis, it just turning that on, it's so potent. And
well, we're probably blowing out the irises in the camera. Are we getting a nod from the camera crew? We're taking them out? No, yes, they're saying yes, we are. So, again, we will have a chance, and of course, you've got the ability as well to have the front of the bar on, the rear of the bar off. You've all these switching options. You don't have to have the whole thing lit up. There's a whole range of options that are available with the bar, and you'll be able to check those out. And we'll show it out in the field as well with respect to that, too. So, we're going to take the top of the bar off, and you get a chance to see inside it and see what the actual modules will look like. Let's go ahead and do that right now. Well, Chris is going to take out his pocket knife. Got your pocket knife, Chris?
Got my pocket knife.
Okay. Well, let's take it apart. As I mentioned earlier, 4 screws to take off the top piece.
Boop. You got that okay?
No.
There
Do
we
now.
go.
And as you can see, like all Whelen product, it's very, very proudly made in the United States by a great team over at Chester, Connecticut. So let me put this down here. And New Hampshire. Sorry, mustn't forget the folks.
And
in New
now
Hampshire.
with that removed, as you mentioned earlier, we can show that the whole piece in here is a polycarbonate dome. So in traditional bars, as Stuart mentioned, the lenses slide into the track. The end cap is an independent piece. As you can see here, the entire top of the bar is polycarbonate sealed.
And then there's 2 additional screws that you take off.
You can see a clear difference between the two. End cap screws and an epoxy green coated top screw. So for these going through the top and in turn into the holes here, the epoxy sorry, tongue-tied. The epoxy helps to keep grit and grime from getting inside.
It's unedited, folks. Anything could happen. So let's slide it off.
From there, we'll go ahead. And it is pressure held in.
I feel like I'm about to land on the moon.
And there we have it.
Now the reflectors, I'm going to have you quickly run offset and get a pair or one of the standard Liberty reflector. I'm going to put the dome down. Actually, I'm going to hold the dome up here for a second. And you can see here, and I have a little story with this dome, and I'll quickly fill you in on. I got a chance to see this dome, if my memory serves me correct, last October. The factory very kindly sent us an example of what the dome would look like. And it was very interesting at the time, and I'm glad to see it turned out really well when they put the whole thing together. So let's take a look here.
There you are.
And this is the reflector that the original Lady Liberty, the Liberty light bar, had. And we're going to put that beside that there. I think of the camera, can we see that there? We're getting a nod. And you can see the size difference with respect to the reflector area. And also, if you look at the back of it, it's completely different in design. This is the heat sink here. This is the heat sink and design with respect to this bar. And they're using the entire extrusion as the actual heat sinks. That's quite interesting. So let's take a look at the other components, if you can go around that, Chris.
So inside here, you can see on each module, quick disconnect harness. So when moving the modules around comes into play, go ahead, disconnect from each portion. And it's a small 4-pin micro connector, specific top, specific bottom, so it'll go back into place every time correctly. Same thing for the corners here. Micro harness connection point. And here you can also see the adjustment point for the alley lights. So with a Phillips head screwdriver, you can go ahead, loosen a couple of screws, adjust the angle, and tighten them back up so you can adjust your 15 degrees forward or 15 degrees backward, depending on how you need your illumination to be.
Now, the interesting thing, for those of you who remember the edge bar, that's going back a bit, the edge bar used to have, in the late 80s, dating ourselves here, the ability to adjust the then halogen alley light, and it's nice to see in the 21st century they brought the adjustability back, which is quite nice, and it's not preset as with some other manufacturers. So with this, you've got the ability to move it around. Now, yes, you have to take the top off to do that, but once you've set it, it's done. So again, depending on what type of application or patrol car, you can have one slightly forward, one slightly to the rear, or vice versa. It's a nice feature.
You can also see inside here, mounting post and another mounting post. There's appropriate posts on the other side. And these are what the top lock screws affix into for the top aluminum extrusion. So as you can see, with this being open, polycarbonate top and an aluminum thin extrusion affixed onto it, you're also saving weight as there's not as much metal in this bar as previous bars.
Well, you may be saving weight, but it is also worth noting that the aluminum extrusion that Whelen has built its entire family of light bars since virtually day one around is still in the base. So you won't have any bowing, which sometimes unfortunately happens with light bars as you put a lot of component into them, and especially as you lengthen the bars. So there is still a form of I-beam, which Whelen is famous for, mounted inside the light bar. So that's also worth noting as well.
And as you can see, as Stuart mentioned, you can easily see
the
the rise and on this side as well. So again, all this here takes the heat from the diodes, takes it all down, and filters it away for longevity.
Yeah.
And also, if it's okay with you, I'm going to go ahead, trade sides, open this up so we can see a little bit more of the internal electronics for the Liberty 2.
Shall we spin it around?
We can spin it around, of course.
Just makes it easy on the camera crew. Their legs are getting old, and union rules, you know how it is. So,
give me a moment. I'm going to step away, grab the pocket knife here really quick.
Pocket knife? Why are you getting a pocket knife? Great. This is going to be really interesting. Start stabbing things. But also worth noting is that within the actual, as Chris works with his pocket knife, you can see here, I think if we can swing, can we do that there? Yes, we can. You can see that the actual diffuser functionality is still built in to the actual housing, the dome configuration. You can see that built in there, again, to spread the light around. Thank you.
Thank you. Now from this side here, you can see this is the main electronics board and harness input point for the entire light bar itself. It's an epoxy sealed I/O board, inline 10 amp fuses. So should you ever need to do any servicing in the field, as you can see, easy enough to remove the top extrusion, slide out the one-piece lens, depending on which side it is, and check the fusing and the harness points as appropriate. You have a plug-and-play input, and this is the 3-wire for the WeCan control. So shielded green and gray wire, and this is what will connect to your Whelen controller or to your switch box for operating the bar. You can also see there is a main heavy-duty lead and ground input, and again, it's on a quick connect. So with that, Whelen Engineering has made the bar very user-friendly for those that should need to work on it in the field.
Now there will also be other functionality with respect to additional components other than just the reflectors, as you can see here with the diodes, along with the alleys and the takedowns. There will also be the ability to put an opticom emitter, which we don't currently have right now in our hands, but to put that inside the bar. So you will have the ability to put an opticom emitter in the bar and connect it accordingly to the system in the vehicle. Great. I think it's very
like
nice.
it. It's very, very well constructed. It's very well laid out. Okay. The heat sink is wonderful. The polishing, the optics.
Now this is the WeCan controller. And Chris, you've got the
programming CD. Yep. It's actually quite entertaining. It's actually better than a movie because hours upon hours of flash pattern selection fun. So this will
keep all the adults happy for hours.
Exactly.
And this is the WeCan controller.
Correct. So if you are tying this in and taking the harness outputs here, lead, ground, triggers for the Lightbar front, the Lightbar rear, traffic advisor, alleys, takedowns.
And this again is for a control head that's not necessarily a Whelen?
Exactly.
Okay.
So if you're using a controller that is not a Whelen Engineering WeCan specific plugin, the interface module here will allow the WeCan Lightbar to talk to any other lighting and siren controller system. So the control point from the Lightbar will affix to this module here. From here, you will tie the triggers to your other controller. So again, traffic advisor, takedowns, alleys, again, using the software CD for all the programming.
Remember, follow the instructions.
Exactly.
And then you also have...
And also, folks at home, for interfacing this module with the CD and in turn programming the bar, you'll want to get your hands on a cord here. It's actually just a standard printer cable. So you can see, printer end here, USB port end here. This will plug into the laptop, desktop, tablet as appropriate, and in turn will plug into the module here.
Does this come with it?
This is not included with it.
Okay.
But if you need one, we'd be happy to help you out.
We'll help you out. So we put the bar back together again. Thanks very much, Chris, for taking that apart. Greatly appreciate it. It's always nice when Chris takes things to bits. I'm sure the folks at Whelen are probably wiping a little brow of sweat off their forehead there, Chris.
Well,
but you were gentle. You didn't, you took it easy.
It's
right?
not upsetting any fine folks at Whelen. It's showing that the bar is field serviceable and there's electronics inside. And should you, the end user, need to gain access to them, quite easy to do so.
So, Liberty 2 Lightbar, it's available at SIRENNET. Technical specifications are available on the website. That, by the way, will be growing as the product line expands. Very excited about this Lightbar. Has a tremendous amount of potential. The grand old Lady Liberty is going to be around for a little bit longer, so no need to fret with respect to that. But Liberty 2 is the next generation, and that's the way the world goes. There's always the next generation that follows. I'm Stuart. You've been watching SIRENNET Television.
I'm Chris.
Many thanks for watching, and a big thanks to the gang at Whelen for sending us over the Lightbar. Have a safe day.